Good day everyone! Samahan niyo po uli ako sa part 3 ng ating PMES video. In this video, alamin natin paano ba i-assess ang PMES objectives ngayong school year 2024-2025 at ilan ba ang kailangang classroom observation ngayong 2024-2025. Tulad sa part 1 ng aking video tungkol sa PMES na ipakita natin ang mga COIs at NCOIs para sa proficient teacher at highly proficient teachers. At dahil nga halos gahul na ang kaguruan sa panahon, kaya sa second video kaagad nating isinunod ang mga dapat alamin ng ratee at ng kanyang rater bago o ang pre-observation, habang o actual observation at pagkatapos or post-observation. Ngayon, part 3 ng video natin about PMES, balikan natin at himay-himayin itong COIs at NCOIs ng ating mga proficient teacher. Dito sa part 3 ng interim guidelines sa pag-assess ng PPST-based objectives, pero focus muna natin ngayon ang proficient teachers. So, sa number 14, sinabi nga dito na ang ating mga proficient teacher ay kailangang makapagsagawa ng isa o dalawa na full period classroom observation. And take note, buong period po ng klase ang nire-require para ma-assess ni rater ang performance ni teacher for observable classroom objectives on agreed schedule ni teacher at ni rater. Of course, anytime during the fourth quarter of school year 2024-2025. May dalawang option for full period classroom observation. Sa option A, maaring 2 full period classroom observation ngayong fourth quarter, so 2 beses magpapa-observe ang ating proficient teacher kung saan ang mga classroom objectives ay i-distribute across observations. Sa second option o itong option B, dito isa lang, 1 full period classroom observation lang ang kailangang isagawa. Pero this covers all the 8 COI objectives. Kung pipiliin ng proficient teacher ang option A, yung 2 classroom observation, narito ang distribution ng COIs para sa 2 full period classroom observation. So sa unang full period observation, may 5 COIs ang i-assess. Ganun din naman sa second full period classroom observation, mayroon ding 5 COIs. Yung objective 1 at objective 4 ay parehong i-assess in both classroom observation 1 and 2. So, para sa unang classroom observation, ano-ano yung mga objective? Yung objective 1 or PPST 1.1.2, objective 3, PPST 1.3.2, Objective 4, PPST 1.4.2, Objective 6, PPST 2.4.2, at Objective 8, PPST 3.3.2. Para naman sa ikalawang classroom observation, yung Objective 1, again, PPST 1.1.2, Objective 4, PPST 1.4.2, and then we have Objective 5, PPST 1.7.2, Objective 7, PPST 2.5.2, at Objective 9, PPST 3.4.2. COI Objective number 1, apply knowledge of content within and across curriculum teaching areas, PPST indicator 1.1.2, and then we have Objective 3, ensure the positive use of ICT to facilitate the teaching and learning process, PPST indicator 1.3.2. And then we have COI objective number 4. Para itong ma-observe kapag pinili in 2 observation, both in observation 1 and observation 2, present ang COI na to, yung objective number 4, which is the use Use a range of teaching strategies that enhance learner achievement in literacy and numeracy skills. And then we have objective 6. Maintain supportive learning environments that nurture and inspire learners to participate, cooperate, and collaborate in continued learning. Ito na naman, nurture and inspire learners. Ito yung mga keyword natin eh. And then we also have objective 8, which is the design, adapt, and implement teaching strategies that are responsive to learners with disabilities and giftedness and talents. So that is our keyword, responsive to learners with disabilities, giftedness, and talents. Para sa Classroom Observation 2, narito naman ang COIs. Inulit-uli yung Objective 1, apply knowledge of content within and across curriculum teaching areas. And of course, yung Objective 4, i-observe na naman. Use a range of teaching strategies that enhance learner achievement in literacy and numeracy skills. Okay, next objective is objective number 5. Use effective verbal and non-verbal classroom communication strategies to support learner understanding, participation, engagement, and achievement. And of course, we have COI for objective 7. Apply a range of successful strategies that maintain learning environments that motivate the learners to work productively by assuming responsibility for their own learning. And the last objective is objective 9, plan and deliver teaching strategies that are responsive. Ito na yung keyword natin. Responsive to the special educational needs of learners in difficult circumstances, including geographic isolation, chronic illness, displacement due to armed conflict, urban resettlement or disasters, child abuse, and child labor practices. Himayin po natin itong Objective 1. Balikan natin ang COI Objective 1, PPST 1.1.2, Content Knowledge Application. So teacher, sa PPST Module 1, sinabi nga dito na ang Content Knowledge Application ay ang nakai-impluwensya kung paano ba natin isinasangkot, ini-engage ang ating learners sa subject matter na ating tinuturo. Paano ba tinaya ng guro at ginamit ang kanyang mga instructional materials, ang lahat ng kanyang mga kagamitang pampagtuturo, at kung paano ang pagtuturo ng guro ay nakapag-iwan ng malaking impact. Impact saan? Sa achievement of our learners. Nakapagpakita ba ang guro? O naipamalas ba ng guro ang kanyang kasanayan to demonstrate accurate, in-depth, and broad knowledge of the concepts he or she deliver in every teaching opportunity? Makabuluhan bang na-connect ng guro ang aralin from one lesson to another and to the real world? Dapat itong maipakita ng guro at ito rin ang reference na dapat hanapin ng kanyang rating. So madali lang ito, paano natin? Balikan natin yung PPST Module 1, balikan ang mahalagang definition of terms para sa COI Objective 1. Okay, tingnan nga natin, silipin natin itong mahalagang terminology na ito for a better understanding again of the COI 1. Okay, content knowledge. So balikan natin kasi minsan hindi na natin ito uli nababalikan, teachers. Content knowledge, competencies that teachers are expected to master for them to teach efficiently and effectively. Curriculum areas, different learning subject areas taught and learned in the basic education curriculum. Within curriculum teaching areas, ito yung inclusion of appropriately chosen intradisciplinary topics and enabling learning competencies within the curriculum guide of a specific learning area and grade level. across curriculum teaching areas, making meaningful connections. Ito nga binanggit na kanina, making meaningful connections and including appropriate interdisciplinary topics and learning competencies cited in the curriculum guide of other learning areas in any grade level. Okay. So, hindi lamang doon sa subject area natin tayo nakapokus. Kung may mga teksto tayong paggagamit sa pagpapabasa to promote literacy and numeracy. So, i-ugnay o i-connect din natin ito sa iba pang discipline. Anong concept from other subject o other learning areas ang mai-integrate natin sa ating current lesson? Okay, nakagamit ka ng ibang concepts from other discipline, from other learning areas, paano mo tatayahin ang kaalaman ng bata dito sa in-integrate mo na concept from other discipline? But teachers, we have to make sure na yung ginagawa nating integration ay hindi mapopokus doon sa in-integrate natin na learning areas. Baka naman mas masapawan pa nung in-integrate nating concept from other learning areas yung ating lesson at competency na kailangang ma-attain ng mga learners. Hindi naman din po dapat ganon. Okay, paano naman sa assessment? Paano natin i-integrate or i-incorporate din ang intra and interdisciplinary content? So, maaaring mag-develop ang teacher ng assessment strategy na magagamit sa pag-incorporate ng interdisciplinary content sa mga performance tasks na pinagagawa natin sa ating classroom o sa ating mga learners. Okay, sinabi din dito sa module na to ng PPST that doing final task or performance standards in specific disciplines is also a good platform to carry out content, knowledge application within and across curriculum teaching areas. Kanya nga lang, we have to make sure na yung competency na ating gustong ma-develop sa mga performance tasks ay congruent o pareho ba ng competency na itataya natin sa kanilang performance task at doon sa competency ng other learning areas na i-integrate natin ang kanilang performance task. Kasi yun minsan nagiging problema. Hindi pwedeng mag-integrate ang dalawang discipline, ang dalawang learning areas ng performance task kung magkaiba naman ang learning competency na gustong i-assess. Kailan pa daw na ipapakita itong applied knowledge of content within and across curriculum teaching areas? Giving the learners different focus for their final output clearly sets interdisciplinary connection of the current lesson. Also, application of content knowledge within and across curriculum learning areas can also be observed in school or community program projects. Yung mga community engagement ng mga bata. Kaya nga itong sinasabi nating integrating topics or activities to the lesson content knowledge and application, nakasalalay ito sa skillful facilitation of our teaching practices. During the demonstration of teacher sa kanyang classroom observation, nakapagpakita pa siya ng incidental teaching. So that is also good venue to demonstrate and apply content knowledge within and across the learning areas. May specific part lang din ba sa kanyang DLL or DLP na i-integrate niya ang content knowledge within and across subject area? No. Teachers may integrate content knowledge within and across subject area in any part of her DLL or DLP. Sa kabuuan ng kanyang DLL or DLP man yan, may integrate niya ito in all areas of the DLL, DLP. Nasasagot ba ng guro ng maayos yung mga query at tanong ng mga mag-aaral during the discussions? Responsive ba si teacher sa kanyang mga learners o sa developmental needs ng learners? If he or she answers learners' questions by providing extensive discussion of content, learning areas to create opportunities for the learners to fully understand the content, then namimit niya itong content knowledge application within curriculum teaching areas. Nakagagamit ba ang guro ng mga angkop na estratehiya sa pagtuturo to deliver the content teaching areas? Then, this is also an example of this. Content knowledge application within curriculum teaching areas. Now we proceed to Objective 3, yung COI 3 natin. Ensure the positive use of ICT to facilitate the teaching and learning processes. PPST Indicator 1.3.2. So take note of the word positive use. What do we mean when we say positive use? Okay, sa PPST module, define itong positive use of ICT. It is the responsible, ethical, and appropriate use of ICT to ensure and achieve learning. So we have to define this significant concept. Why? To facilitate deeper appreciation of the indicator na isinasaad dito sa Objective 3. O, paano nga ang pag-integrate nitong ICT? Positive use of ICT. O, halimbawa, nakapagpagamit si teacher ng cellphone or ng gadget sa pagbuo ng isang tula. O, maaari na yun, di ba? Positive use of cellphones. Nakabuo ng itula, o nakabuo ng tula ang mga bata through the use of his or her cellphones. Paano niya naman maisi-share yung kanyang binuong tula sa kanyang mga kamag-aral? So, pwede natin i-encourage kapag si teacher in-encourage, okay, class, your tula using private message or by sending short messages, SMS to your friends or classmates. Ang gaganda ng output ng mga bata na ipagamit mo sa kanila ang Canva para mas ma-explore nila ang kanilang creativity, then that is a positive use of ICT. And then the teacher will ask the learners na yung ginawa nilang mga output ay upload ba sa Facebook or sa YouTube channel. Then that is also use of ICT. Na ipagamit ni teacher ang social media and other social media platforms, halimbawa sa isang subject na entrepreneurship, to promote their businesses or the basics of entrepreneurship using Facebook. Na-analyze nila the vitality of online businesses in social media as a platform. The marketing strategies and buying behavior of consumers online could also be better examined through this social media platform. At namimit mo na objective kapag napapagawa mo ito sa iyong mga learners. Nakagagamit ba si teacher ng iba't ibang online applications o mga app na nakatutulong sa engagement ng mga learners? So, ang dami na ng mga emerging educational technologies na po pwedeng magamit ni teachers. Diba? Andyan yung Kahoot, SipGrade, Quizlet. Okay, dito naman tayo sa objective number 4. Use a range of teaching strategies that enhance the learner achievement in literacy and numeracy skills. PPST 1.4.2. Okay, what do we mean by literacy? This refers to the capability one acquires in order to read, understand, and construct textual materials. Numeracy, this refers to the ability to understand and use mathematical knowledge for calculating, problem solving, and interpreting information in order to arrive at educational and well-informed decisions. Numeracy is an important skill for learners to master to help them prepare for life beyond the school and within the workplace and greater community. Another concept, teaching strategies, of course, this refers to techniques, practices, approaches, and systems teachers employ in their classroom practice to advance student learning. And of course, another concept, learner achievement. This refers to the realization by a learner of academic material or content knowledge within a given period. Okay, balikan natin uli yung basic concept. So, kapag sinabing literacy, hindi lang naman ito pagtuturo o pagkatuto ng pagbasa at pagsulat. Ganon din naman kapag sinabing numeracy, it is more than counting numbers. So, both skills are at an interplay in the holistic performance of our learners. Binanggit ito sa PPST module. And as a teachers of literacy and numeracy across the curriculum, we should provide our learners a wide range of different contexts in which they can use the skills. Remember, we all have this responsibility to promote these skills in our classroom, in all levels and in all curriculum areas. We should explore the possibilities of extending and complementing numeracy and literacy. Remember, generally, as we are all teachers of literacy, we should adapt a variety of strategies in teaching literacy. Literacy across curriculum area, dapat tandaan, literacy instruction is embedded in all learning areas. Kung math, history, science, or art teacher ka man, saan ba nag-fit yung literacy sa ating classroom instruction? There are endless number of engaging and even effective strategies so that we could get our learners to think about, write about, read about, and talk about the content na itinuturo natin. Kung binabalikan lang natin yung module ng PPST, sinabi din doon that the ultimate goal of literacy instruction is to build a learner's comprehension, writing, skills, and overall skills in communication. So how will we integrate that in our teaching? Baka naman straight lecture lang or teacher talk ang ginagawa ni teacher sa classroom. Wag ganon. Do you let your students to discover information on their own? Paano mo gagawing interesting sa mga bata ang pagtuturo mo ng new words or new vocabulary? How will you make it more interesting and relevant to the learners, to the level of the learners, to the need of the learners? Halimbawa, sa iba't ibang uri ng teksto sa Filipino, pagtuturo ng Pilipino, maaari tayong magpadala ng mga newspaper clips. Let us tell our students, papiliin natin sila ng artikulo na interesado sila sa mga newspapers, magazines, and then gumawa sila ng notes about doon sa nabasa nila na yon. And then sa group task, let them share their understanding about those na nabasa nilang article. At sabi pa sa PPST module, sinabi nga dito that to strengthen numeracy, you should create a rich and supportive learning environment that of course will support a skillful mix of a variety of approaches. So napakarami daw approaches: active learning and planned purposeful play, develop a problem-solving capabilities, developing mental agility, use of relevant context and experiences familiar to learners and young people, etc., using technology in appropriate and effective ways, building on the principles of assessment is for learning, including understanding the purpose and relevance of the activities. At syempre si teacher ang unang-unang dapat nagpo-promote ng interest and enthusiasm for numeracy, for literacy. At dapat makita ito sa classroom observation. Do you imagine your learners learning new vocabularies, new words, na engage sila? So maraming activities ang pwedeng buuin, iplano at i-create ng teacher. But they should all be based on authentic and real-life situations from the learner's own context. Issues that learners identify with topics that they are interested in, as well of course as problems they normally encounter in their everyday lives, can be sources of lessons and activities. Okay, Objective 6 na tayo. Yung COI natin para sa Objective 6. Maintain supportive learning environments that nurture and inspire learners to participate, cooperate, and collaborate in continued learning. Anong learning environment ang inaasahan ng ating mga 21st century learners from the teachers? Kailangang ma-maximize ng ating learners ang kanilang learning potential. Of course, together with other learners. So, napakahalaga noong sinasabi dito sa Objective 6. Learners to participate, cooperate, and collaborate in continued learning. That's why as teachers, we have this role of providing this kind of learning environment. Hayaan nating matuto sila kasama ang kanilang mga kamag-aral. Sa araw-araw na pagtuturo, dapat na i-integrate natin ito, especially ito ang dapat nating makita. Isa sa dapat makita kapag tayo ay nagkakaroon ng classroom observation. And of course, to better understand this indicator or to better appreciate this indicator na makikita sa Objective 6, i-define uli natin yung key concept. When we say supportive learning environment, this refers to any learning space, physical condition, or social condition that of course promote a balanced and harmonious relationship among learners, where the teacher facilitates delivery of instruction and learning tasks through valuing every learner's potentials in a classroom free of distraction or interruption. Ang source natin, Literacy Source 2010. Ano naman yung continued learning? Let's define this concept. This is also known as lifelong learning. It refers to progressive process of acquiring and utilizing knowledge and information in various learning engagement through the process of learning and real learning. This is according to National Center for Education Statistics 1999. So in this objective, it is really a must na kilala ni teacher ang kanyang mga estudyante. Alam ni teacher ang individual learning attributes at ang mga concerns ng ating mga mag-aaral in terms of course of their skills, capabilities, including of course their learning interests and preferences. At step by step nagpo-provide si teacher ng procedures for classroom activity. Why? Hindi lang ma-acquire yung knowledge and skills ng mga bata, kundi para rin ma-develop ang interpersonal and intrapersonal abilities ng ating mga mag-aral. Kaya nga minsan magugulat ka, ang tahimik ng bata. Pero kapag nagkaroon ng performance task, doon mo nakilala mo, ito palang batang ito ay may itinatagong husay. May iba pa palang skills na mapapakita ang batang ito. Okay palang mag-participate siya sa ganitong task. Nakikipag-cooperate siya sa kanyang kagrupo, sa kanyang kaklase para maisagawa ang gawain. At sa ganitong sitwasyon, dapat responsive si teacher. Agad, timely ang pagbibigay niya ng feedback sa activity ginawa ng mga bata. Of course, ano ang layunin sa ganito? It's either we give the constructive comments or suggest to further improve learners' performance and of course, other output nila na mahalaga sa kanilang pagkatuto. At kung kinakailangan, i-commend ang best students for their output for the activity. So, napakalagang component noon sa objective na to. Siyempre, I stand corrected, hindi lang yung best students. But we have to see to it that we can give feedback the soonest possible time so that alam ng bata kung ano yung learning improvements na kinakailangan or ano ba yung level of understanding niya on that particular topic, on that particular activity. At tandaan po natin, proficient teachers, raters, hindi tayo makakapag-provide ng supportive learning environment unless kilala natin talaga ang ating mga mag-aaral. We know their learning concerns and preferences. Hindi tayo makabubuo ng classroom management strategies na suited para sa kanila. And for continuous learning engagement, it is also helpful if we will establish classroom rules and procedures. Nababalance kasi, this ensures a balanced treatment of learners through valuing their contribution in the learning process. Nakatutulong kasi itong mga classroom rules na ito in establishing cooperation and of course collaboration sa ating mga mag-aaral. Yung mga simpleng classroom routines before we deliver the instruction, tulad ng mga simpleng bagay, asking our learners to arrange their chairs properly or even to clean the top of their desk o pulutin ang mga munting kalat sa sahig. At yung mga simpleng pamamaraan that ensure na nagpa-participate ang ating mga mag-aaral, nakikipag-cooperate, and the simple task ng collaboration during the lesson proper. This way, as teachers, we maintain a supportive learning environment already. Okay, kasunod ng routines, yung balik-aral or previous lesson, doon pa lang may papakita na ni teacher na nami-maintain niya yung supportive learning environment kapag na-engage niya kagad ang mga mag-aaral. Sa panong paraan, gumamit na kagad siya ng games sa review pa lang ng previous lesson o sa balik-aral pa lang or naging interactive na kagad yung kanyang balik-aral. That way, nakapag-participate na kagad ang mga bata. Sa simula pa lang, sa routines pa lang, nakagamit na si teacher ng variety of instructional materials such as audio-visual technology, other visual aids, and other manipulative visual aids, etc. Tandaan po natin that in maintaining supportive learning environment, napakahalaga na sa mga routine activities natin na set na kagad natin yung mood and mind of the learners to engage in the learning process. Okay, next. Okay, nakapag-identify na tayo ng classroom procedures in connection, of course, sa kanilang learning concerns and preferences. Nakapag-design na rin tayo ng mga appropriate learning activities. Napakalaga nito talaga na appropriate. Remember the keyword appropriate classroom learning activities. Why? Because ito ay mag-a-allow sa ating learners, of course, para ma-develop yung kanilang self-confidence habang sila ay nagpa-participate, habang sila ay nakikipag-cooperate and collaborate with their classmates, with our other learners in a given learning task. As classroom teacher, we have to make sure na nasusustain natin, nami-maintain natin, or at talagang nandyan lagi yung eagerness ng learners ng ating mga mag-aaral na makipag-engage sa proseso ng pagkatuto. Of course, paano? Malaking tulong po yung pagbibigay natin ng feedback, constructive criticism, constructive feedback in every learners so that they will continue to involve in continued learning. Let's go back to the objective. Maintain supportive learning environment. At kapag pinag-uusapan natin ang supportive learning environment, dalawa evident in two conditions ang learning environment na to. Una, yung learning space, and of course, a physical condition or social condition where the learners develop the sense na belong sila, na makakapag-open ang ating mga where they can express themselves, na makapag-o-open ang ating mga mag-aaral. Itong learning environment na to, hindi lang ito yung physical setup sa ating classroom learning area. It is more than the physical setup. It comprises social and interpersonal components in such a way that learners feel yung sense of family and friendship, of course, para maipagpatuloy nila ang kanilang individual learning goals. This is of course according to Literacy Source 2010. So we have this role na masigurado ng ating mag-aaral ay nasa ganitong kind of learning environment. We have to promote harmonious interaction among learners, na hindi sila nahihiya, in a sense na hindi sila nagpa-participate dahil nandoon yung inferiority complex ng ating mga mag-aaral. Hindi sila makapag-open, hindi nila ma-express ang sarili nila. Kailangan as teacher, ma-offset natin o maalis natin yung ganitong dilemma in every learners. Gone are the days na hindi sumasagot ang mga bata, timid sila dahil nahihiya sila o natatakot sila na baka pag mali ang sagot nila, mapagalitan sila ni teacher or magalit si teacher. Gone are the days, wala na pong ganon. Now, the big challenge for teachers is how you will be doing that. At napakahalaga ng mga teaching approaches, strategies, and procedures, of course, to make learners actively engaged. Of course, para sa patuloy na proseso ng pagkatuto, continued learning process. So in this environment, lahat ng mag-aaral feels valued, lahat sila malaga, included, belong, and empowered to accomplish his or her learning task. Sa mga groupings, activity, paikutin natin ang leader. Hindi laging si magaling ang leader. Baka naman every time si isa lang yung leader. So let's challenge every learners that they can also lead like their other classmates. Okay, isa pa, working together with learners. Isa pa rin itong paraan that the teacher maintains a supportive learning environment. So, kitang-kita natin ito lalo sa mga science class, sa kanilang experiments, laboratories, nakikita natin yung mga teacher talaga minomodel muna. They work together with their learners, with their students. Of course, sa mga TVL courses, sa mga TVL subjects, cookery, welding, CSS, computer programming, computer servicing system. Nakikita natin itong mga ganito na talagang the teacher really work with their learners para i-model yung needed o i-demonstrate yung actual process and procedures doon sa kinakailangang activity. Sa ganitong guided demonstration ni teacher na ipapakita sa mga bata, sa ating mga learners, paano ba isagawa ng tama and appropriately yung assigned task natin. Pagkatapos may demo ni teacher, that is the time that we allow the learners, ang ating mga bata, na mag-stimulate naman o ulitin yung process na ginawa ni teacher. Pero ano ang mahalagang dapat tandaan? Si teacher dapat siguraduhin na yung process at yung procedures simple lang at mas madaling sundan. And in the other way around, we let our learners also na ma-develop nila their own ways kung paano matuto from that activity. And at the same way, as teacher, we serve as the consultant for that matter or ma-validate natin yung innovative approaches na ginawa nila in doing that activity. Di ba nakapakaganda na na-develop ng mga bata yung kanilang self-confidence from their teachers who modeled everything. Ipinakita ni teacher ang lahat on how to do the activity, and in return, the learners develop their own self-confidence. Oh, sa pagkatuto ng mga mag-aaral, they also realize that the value of believing in themselves at napakalaga ng presence dito ng guro. Dapat ma-affirm at ma-assert ni teacher ang accomplishments na ipinakita ng mga bata. So, be ano tayo sa ganito ha, maging mindful tayo to give this feedback because in this way we are able to maintain the supportive learning environment for our learners. Hindi lang sa LAC session, hindi lang tayo teacher sa teacher, hindi lang tayo ang nagpo-focus group discussion. Much more needed ito sa classroom. So si teacher at ang kanyang mga estudyante, nagkakaroon din sila ng teacher-student discussion, learner together with the teacher discusses like in the focus group discussion. Nire-resolve nila yung mga issues, yung mga problema regarding their learning concerns in order of course to arrive at as a possible solution. Ano ba ang hindi ko natutuhan? Ano ba ang hindi ko naintindihan? Paano ko pa ba ito mai-improve? Tayo ang nagpapacilitate ng pagkatuto, kaya as facilitators, hindi lang yun ang dapat nating i-facilitate, but of course, we have to make sure facilitating also this responsive collaboration with our learners. Kaya nga sa groupings, 'di ba? Umiikot si teacher sa bawat grupo. Tinitingnan niya yung progress ng report ng bawat task na pinagawa mo in the group task. At kapag napansin ni teacher na may isang pangkat o grupo na may problema sa kanilang task, dapat mindful kagad si teacher doon. Ina-approach na kagad yung grupo na yon na nakita niya na medyo nahihirapan sa task na kanyang pinagagawa o hindi makasunod sa task na kanyang pinagagawa. Why? Because this will establish learning companionship and teacher-learner confidence. Makinig tayo at i-analyze natin yung mga tanong. Kapag meron din silang mga tanong, let's entertain these questions and analyze their queries. This will allow us to see the learning concerns sa perspective ng mga mag-aaral. And then if it is possible to offer solutions, then offer solutions. But as teacher, we have to monitor the progress ng pag-adapt ng ating mga mag-aral to sa solution na pinagkasundaan nyo na gagawin nila. This will allow you as teachers to check the improvement sa proseso ng pagkatuto ng mga mag-aaral. Lalo na sa research class, senior high school, III, PR1, PR2. So, kitang-kita natin yung ganito, yung pagiging open, approachable ni teacher sa mga queries ng ating mga mag-aaral. Yung pagsilip mo sa ginagawa nila, sa progress ng kanilang activity, you give your comments, you give your suggestions, you already maintain a supportive learning environment. We allow them to visualize, to reflect, and then we encourage them to disclose their thoughts and insights. And then they themselves learn to resolve their learning concerns, and then we make sure that we keep on providing dialogue or discussion with our learners. Nararamdaman nila that they are comfortable and they are capable of making possible actions and good decisions pertaining to their task or their activity. Okay, we already maintain a supportive learning environment. Okay, ang dami natin na-discuss naman dito sa Objective 6. Let's now proceed to Objective 8. Okay, design, adopt, and implement teaching strategies that are responsive to learners with disabilities, giftedness, and talents. Pinag-uusapan pa rin natin dito yung diversity of learners, and that as teachers, we need to establish really this kind of learning environments that are responsive to learner diversity. So as teachers, dapat malawak yung understanding natin dito sa diversity of learners. We really need to respect our learners, their diverse characteristics, their experiences. So we could plan, strategize different learning activities that really suited sa iba-ibang klase ng mag-aaral natin sa ating classroom. So we have to differentiate our instruction. We have to encourage all learners to be, of course, successful citizens. Yun naman talaga ang main goal natin. At dahil proficient teacher ang pinag-uusapan dito sa objective na to, so your task as proficient teacher is to design, adapt, and even implement these teaching strategies that are responsive to learners with disabilities, giftedness, and talents. Whereas, yun namang si master teacher mo, because he or she is already a highly proficient teachers. Ano ang gagawin naman ni master teacher? Hindi na siya magdi-design, hindi na siya mag-a-adapt. Kasi ikaw si proficient teacher ang magdi-design, mag-a-adapt at mag-i-implement nito. Pero si master teacher, of course, the duty of the master teacher is to assist the colleagues to design, adapt, and implement teaching strategies that are responsive to learners with disabilities, giftedness, and talents. So, tinuruan, ina-assist natin, gina-guide natin as their master teachers. Paano naman i-design ito ni proficient teachers? Paano ba i-adapt ito ni proficient teachers? At paano i-deliver ito o i-implement ito ni proficient teachers? The task is on the shoulder, of course, of the master teacher as part of his or her coaching and mentoring sessions para sa kanyang mentee. So, as teachers, alam natin, at I'm sure naman ginagawa natin ito, the term differentiated instruction. So, as teacher, support system tayo kasi ng ating mga learners na with disabilities, and of course not also them but also those gifted students. That's why we really have to adapt teaching methods and materials na makatutugon sa individual na pangangailangan nitong mga mag-aaral natin na ito. And suppose meron tayong ganitong learners in our classroom. May pagkakataon talaga na kinakailangan ni teacher na makipag-collaborate with specialists or with special education teachers or other professionals. Why? To effectively address, of course, ang pangangailangan of learners with disabilities in our class. So, dapat alerto tayo, teachers, sa first pa lang ng opening up ng klase. Dapat na-identify, na-assess na rin natin itong mga strengths and needs ng mga mag-aaral natin with disabilities and giftedness. So, nandun ka pa lang sa opening ng klase, na-assess mo na yan, nakita mo na first weeks ng klase, na-assess na natin, na-evaluate na natin, na-identify na natin itong mga ganitong uri ng learners natin. Why? Siyempre, kasunod nito kasi yung nasa objective natin, yung pagdi-design and pag-implement ng differentiated learning activities, natutugon siyempre sa diverse abilities ng ating mag-aaral. Kung kinakailangan nating i-utilize ang technology na kailangan for learners with disabilities, then we should be resourceful enough. Part natin at duty natin yun as classroom teacher. And on the other hand naman, meron ka rin na gifted students, advanced learners. So, kailangan ready rin na nakakapag-provide tayo ng enrichment opportunities para sa kanila, of course, to further develop their talents. At sa ganitong pagkakataon, teachers, napakahalaga po yung collaboration natin sa mga magulang at guardians nila. Of course, to ensure appropriate support for learners with special needs. So as teachers, kailangan makaisip tayo ng teaching strategies. For example, for learners with disabilities. Of course, sinabi natin kanina, differentiated instruction. Kung makakahanap tayo ng technology, screen readers, speech text-to-teach tools, yung mga adaptive keyboards for students with physical or learning disabilities, okay po yun. And then, pwede nating i-break yung mga tasks natin into smaller steps or smaller steps and gradually reduce support as students become more independent. Scaffolding ang ginagawa natin kapag ganito. And of course, nakatutulong din yung flexible seating and environment. Paano ba natin i-arrange yung upuan to minimize distractions and improve the accessibility of learners with disability? Of course, yung visual supports mahalaga. How we prepare our PowerPoints, our visual aids, our charts, diagrams, yung mga graphic organizer natin, of course, to aid comprehension. Kung malabo na ang kanilang mga mata, paumpuin natin sa harapan. Or, we really have to make sure na visible talaga yung ating mga visual aids from first row up to the last row, nakikita at legible yung ating ginagamit na mga text sa ating mga graphics, sa ating PowerPoints, sa ating mga charts. Peer support also and collaborative learning. I-pair natin yung mga bata. Sa ganitong paraan, magkakaroon sila talaga ng support from their peers and cooperative learning experiences. Siyempre, ibang approach naman din para sa mga gifted learners. We have to provide them enrichment activities, let's say research assignments, of course, flexible grouping. Kung kailangan na payagan natin sila na makipag-group sa mga kaklase nila with similar intellectual levels. Of course, independent study, explore nila yung mga topics that interest deeper para sa kanilang sariling pagkatuto. Of course, nandyan yung mentorship programs. Pwede natin silang ipa-coach, ipakausap sa mga experts na and professionals sa field of interest na gusto ng ating mga gifted learners. Paano naman yung mga learners natin with talent sa art, sa music, sa sports at iba pa? So, anong mga strategies na po pwede natin gamitin para sa kanila? Anong maipoprovide natin sa kanilang assistance? Of course, po pwede mga skill development workshops. Pwede rin natin silang expose sa extracurricular opportunities, different clubs, pagsali sa mga competitions. Of course, we can also personalize learning plans for them. Okay, halimbawa, writing about music or history or using art in their projects in different subjects. Encourage natin sila sa pag-participate sa different events that of course will recognize their skills and boost their confidence. So expose natin ang mga bata sa competitions and exhibitions, and of course, nandyan pa rin flexible scheduling which will allow for intensive practice, training, or travel related to their talent and development. Wag po natin silang bawalan or higpitan sa mga ganitong activities that will really hone their talents. And on the process of doing it, let's think of strategies, activities during classroom observation na marireflect itong diversity ng learners na ito. Dapat itong makita at ma-observe din ni Rater at may pakita ni Rater sa kanyang classroom observation. May natitira pa tayong 5 objective, but actually mababawasan ito since na-discuss na natin yung objective 1, which is pareho lang sa second full period classroom observation. And of course, yung objective 4, na-discuss na din natin. Ang natira na lang natin is yung objective Objective 5, objective 7, and objective 9. Tatlo na lang po. Okay, pasensya na. Ang haba ng ating discussion sa 5 objectives. Hinimay na hinimay na hinimay talaga po natin. Okay. So, hopefully, you will still join me for the continuation of our paghihimay sa objective 5, 7, and 9 na lang. Of course, para sa second full period classroom observation. Susubukan ko rin pong mag-upload ng chop-chop videos nito. Objective 1, 3, 4, 6, and 8 para mas easy access po kung gusto ninyong i-access lang yung certain objective na hinahanap ninyo. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Till next video po. Maraming salamat. Hope you learned something. Padayon!